Georgi Mahalovich from the Rapids to Toronto FC. Something positive and happy to talk about regarding TFC. All right, Tom, welcome back to Footy Prime. Tell us, how long has this deal been in the works?
What's going on, everybody? How long it's been in the works? Depends on how you define works. I do know that Toronto contacted Colorado kind of like before the window opened, like, hey, if we're able to get out of Lorenzo Insigne and Federico Bernardeschi as we plan, we want Georgie. Like, Georgie's the top target. And Colorado kind of said, hey, we don't want to sell him mid-season. You know, talk to us in the winter, all that. We'll kind of figure it out. But they're occupying now the final playoff spot in the Western Conference with about 9 games left in the regular season. They didn't want to lose their best player. So that's how this deal got to $8 million. And this only happened after Colorado rejected multiple bids from Toronto. And then Georgi Mihailovic went to the Rapids and said, please accept the next bid from Toronto. I want to go to Toronto.
Why? Aside from money, and it's going from a potential playoff team to a team that's competing for the wooden spoon.
I don't know. I don't want to speak for Georgi Mihailovic and his motivations. Money is look, they're in talks for a new contract, right? So we'll find out whenever that is agreed and done. And next year, when MLSPA releases the salary data, we'll see how much of a raise this is. But there's another, like, on the sporting project, for all of the disappointment and straight up embarrassment, quite honestly, from Toronto FC over the last 5 years, this is the team that brought Michael Bradley, Josie Altidore, Sebastian Giovinco. This is the team that won a treble. This is a team that's trying to get back to that. And with the money they're throwing around and the investment in Georgie himself, I'm sure made him feel like an absolute centerpiece. And I'm sure that they laid out the future of the vision and said, hey, this winter, we're going to overturn the roster again, and you're going to be the guy, and we want you in right now. So that, one, you can get this head start, this runway with this team. And two, we wanted to show you we would pay more money than maybe we could have or like hope to, because we want you now. We want to show you how bad we want you now. And Toronto believed that if they waited until the winter, there was going to be a bidding war. So they figured that if they were even able to get him in the winter, it would have cost something like this and maybe more. So that was their view and their stance. As for Georgie's 100% motivations, I'm sure he'll speak to that when this deal is done.
Certainly, if you're a TFC fan, you're reassured, aren't you? Because there was a concern there that after being burned with Insigne specifically and Bernardeschi to a lesser extent, the money wouldn't be there anymore. Keith Pelly now is running the show. But this, I guess, suggests that the ambition is still very much there, and they're actually doing it the right way with proven commodities in Major League Soccer.
James, that was one of my first takeaways too. So we'll start with the other point. The in prime or entering his prime or best years, MLS proven star, Georgi Mihailovic leads the league in expected assists. Like, that's no joke. So, like, that was something that they were definitely targeting with one of their DP spots, at least, was, all right, like, no more screwing around on trying to find somebody from abroad and this big risk and everything else. The floor with Georgi Mihailovic is extremely high, and I think that's part of why they were able to invest. The other part of this is, too, and your point is a salient one, I was worried from the outside that if I'm ownership, I'd be like, dude, like, season's over. We're not making the playoffs. We have to overturn the roster anyway. We've just spent so much money on 2 disasters. I don't know if they're still paying multiple head coaches or not, but, like, they had so many years of fire a coach and another bad contract, buy out this contract, do this, do that. They're paying money to people who aren't part of the organization. So with 9 games left in this season, they would have been well within their rights to say, we're not paying more money for the next 4 months. Let's sign somebody in the winter and save some money now. But they didn't. I think that's an encouraging sign, and I think that's a sign that ownership believes in Jason Hernandez in the front office and believes in Robin Fraser and his coaching staff.
I want to disagree with you at one thing, Tom. It's that Sharms had a salient point. Otherwise, everything else makes sense.
Did I use that word right? I'm not even totally sure.
You did. But for Sharms, I think that's where your analysis went a little soft.
On occasion, it happens. In fairness,
yeah, it does.
It's a Liverpool logo behind you. That
exactly. But yeah, so it's a great move. But okay, expected assist is one thing, but you need someone to jump on the end of those expected assists, right?
I agree.
This is the beginning, right? And it might not be completed this season, this off season. And not to get too ahead of ourselves here, Tom, but this off season it is. We've said it a number of times, but the biggest in Toronto FC's history, given to where they get back to.
The biggest until the next one, right? I'm pulling up like the squad right now. Like most of their top earners are not guaranteed for next season, which I think is really exciting for this team. And again, I'm certain that's what they were telling George Mahalovich. Like, hey, like I know like this season's been tough, but like we had to go through these years of pain because every time that we've tried a quick fix, it's just dug the hole deeper. There's no other way out of this other than waiting for some bad contracts to expire and giving yourself more flexibility. And again, that fully could only have happened when Insigne and Bernardeschi departed. So when you look forward to the winter, they're going to have at least one DP spot to use. They could have some U22 initiative players. They've got a lot of flexibility. And like, you know, Raul Petretta, Sigurd Roasted. Why am I saying his name backwards? All of these players that are like Matty Longstaff is a player I like. Derek Etienne, Maxime Dominguez is on loan. Ola Brent Hildenson is on loan. All of these, Theo Corbino, who I think that they're going to want to keep and they should keep. All of these players, the flexibility is there. Toronto gets to choose. They don't have to look at the clock and be like, oh my God, we have 4 more years guaranteed left on a lot of these players. So this is a pivotal offseason, and this has to, like 26 has to be the year where we're making the playoffs, because if not, then it's going to be like next year is going to have pressure. This year there's no pressure. It was always going to be a gap year, transition year. Do what you can, try to set the culture, try to get the right guys in here and start to build the foundation. The foundation is just about almost there, or at least the flexibility to do so is going to be there, led by George Mahalovich and Sean Johnson and Richie Larea and whoever else, Jonathan Osorio, whoever else is going to be here next year. And then you move on and you got to make the playoffs next year.
I had a chance to watch Georgi Mihailovic in Montreal, 2021, 2022, broke Piatti's assist record in 2021. And obviously they had that record year as a club in 2022. So you mentioned pressure there. So I think pressure's on ownership, on Hernandez to build around Georgie. They've put the kind of their money where their mouth is, that he's going to be the centerpiece, to use your word. Salient's a good one. Centerpiece was, I think, a better one. But it pressures on him, like in his prime here. Do you think he's the guy that can be that creative force and be relied upon and thrive in that environment where now they've put the money down and now it's up to him to kind of live up to that?
Absolutely. And he's proved this again in Colorado and Montreal, as you said. And another angle that I like about this move is the versatility. First of all, positionally, I was speaking to sources and like, hey, what's the plan? Left winger. I know he can play both, but what do you guys see him? And they were just like, both. It's like, so he's whatever. If they want to sign a DP 10, he'll play on the wing. If they want to sign somebody who wants to play left wing, he can play 10. And I think that's attractive to them. Stylistically, he's versatile as well. You talk about that Montreal team. That was a team that was built with possession, using the ball, with also high pressing tendencies, but the focus was with the ball. Colorado is the opposite. They want to play with the ball sometimes, but the core philosophy is high pressing. And Georgie thrived in both of these. And with Montreal, I forget if he was best 11 that year or not. He's a best 11 caliber player. He showed there. In Colorado, he showed that he could lead a team, a playoff team. And it's not like I think if the defensive unit was better and they had a little bit more stability on the wings, Georgi Mihailovic as your best player, the ceiling is a top 4 team in either conference. He's going to need another DP. Because like this team, again, as we talked about, this winter is going to be very pivotal. Even if they just sign like, good MLS players, the ceiling would be, particularly in how good the East is, probably middle of the pack. If they bring in the right DP, like Georgi Mihailovic and another star, that's absolutely like the ceiling is one of the best teams in the league if everything else is right. So like I wouldn't limit it in that way. And he's proven he can be the singular creative outlet for teams over multiple styles.
And going back to Robin Fraser's opening press conference, he spoke about the teams that inspired him, including Canada and that Jesse Marsh pressing machine. And then he was given that team, which couldn't press a shirt. Right? So do you think, obviously, they have faith in Robin Fraser, and is it a case of just ignoring what's happened up to this point, realizing that he didn't have the right team? It was always going to be either the Italians figure it out or they don't, and they didn't, and therefore it's almost like a clean slate for him.
Yeah, I mean, even when the Italians were here, right? Like again, with Insigne being benched at the beginning of the season, and very clear that everybody wanted to move on, Insigne included, and it just took until the summer for both those players to leave. Like, so I'd kind of throw all that out. With Robin Fraser, when they finished first in the West in Colorado, they were playing a transition style, a collective style. When the next year or two is when he tried to move the team to like a possession-based, like Arsenal type style after he went like that was kind of how he wanted to evolve the team, and that didn't quite work out. So I'm curious what his vision is there. If was that him saying, okay, maybe this doesn't quite work for my style and this league, or was it, hey, we didn't have the right players for that in Colorado? And again, that's why I think Georgie is so important, because if you want to play possession-based soccer, he works there too. But again, like we saw in Colorado, if you want to play in transition, high pressing style, he'll be able to do that. I think that's what Toronto is more likely to be. But again, I can't speak for Robin Fraser.
So we have many Spurs fans who are in mourning right now with Heung-min Son leaving for LAFC, for MLS. I mean, it's just a catch. The West is gearing up. They're powering up right now. There's some great players. Is he the best now? I mean, not to get too ahead of ourselves again here, but I've watched this guy for years. He's still, I would say, close to his prime. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there's a better player right now than Heung-min Son if he can make the adjustment.
Well, I mean, Lionel Messi. I don't mean to come out of the game being negative here.
Western.
But, yes. And maybe it's the other player on his team, Denny Bouanga. I'm extremely excited about this transfer, this move. He's traveling as we speak right now. I think he's on a plane to come to Los Angeles. This deal is going to be in and around the league record fee. I'm working to get confirmation on it if it's going to be just below or just above, but it's in that region. This is a blockbuster signing, a superstar signing. He does have a lot left in the tank, I feel, at least in LAFC for sure feel that way from the people I've spoke with. Last season, he had, I think it was like 18 goal contributions in 2,000 minutes in the Premier League, something like that. This was for a Tottenham team that finished 17th, as the Spurs fans well know. Like, it's not as if he was playing for PSV or Club Bruges or Porto, where, yeah, like whether or not he was the most important player on the team, he could stack goal contributions against the bottom half of the table. No, Spurs were the bottom half of the table, and he was still the same old Son that we knew until he got injured, and then he didn't start the Europa League final because he was coming back from that injury. But I think that he's not peak Son, and guess what? He's still going to be like the second best player in MLS or something within that hopefully that's the hope at least.
Exciting times though, isn't it? Really. Anything else you want to break right now for us? I know you've got some stuff working, yeah. We can do that.
No. I haven't looked at my phone because I've been trying to be completely locked into you guys. So I got nothing right now.
Well, we'll let you go though. Thanks so much.
Bad decision making, Tom.
I was going to say, Free Prime will break the stories. Yeah, I know where I'm going right now, but thanks so much, mate. Always a pleasure.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
That's Tom Bogert. Always does a great job. He's the main insider, I think, these days, isn't he, for all things MLS? I tell you what, I mean, my MLS energy has been given an injection of adrenaline the last week or so. Now, part of it, I mean, listen, people think I'm a huge TFC fan. I cover TFC. I'm not a fan. Maybe one day when I retire, hopefully next week, I will be. But I mean, it's been a really terrible season for TFC. You throw in this light at the end of the tunnel, and it's exciting, I think. You look at what Vancouver's doing with Muller on his way. Now Sonny arriving out west. I mean, this is exciting, right? Craig, I mean, even someone like you who hasn't watched soccer for a month, you must be happy about this. I mean, it's good, right?
Oh, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's good for the league. It's good for the individuals. I think the Muller one was I was surprised he ended up in Vancouver out of all places, but still has something to offer there. That's exciting. It's great for Toronto FC. It looks as though they've got somebody that's there for the long haul and they can build around. And for LAFC and Son going there, that's a coup. That really is a fantastic player they've got there. Professionally, on and off the field, he's just an absolute star.
And marketing, I mean, my God, they've suddenly just unlocked a
lot of Koreans in California.
Yeah, it's a smart move right off the pitch too. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Mahalovich, I mean, that's the player that TFC has never really had. They thought it might be Insigne, a guy with that soccer IQ, can put his foot on the ball, can pick a pass. He seems that they have him now, right?
Yeah, look, I think it's a good signing. I think when you look at their next step after getting in the two Europeans, I think it was a right move getting someone that understands MLS, someone that's very familiar with it, who's competed in it, understands it, has a proven track record. So I think it's a good thing getting a DP within the league who week in and week out can do a job. It's not a gamble now. It's somebody that you can trust and that's going to do a job.
I think what's exciting about it with Mahalovich going to TFC is like obviously, hopefully the history of getting Bernardeschi and Signé like for huge amounts of money, and then dropping them into this roster and to an 11 where they're almost always going to exist in isolation. Like I think the exciting thing about Mahalovich, yes, they pay a lot for him. It's I think $8 million for this cash transfer within MLS. I think it's the second most since this came into like that rule came into effect. So they've put down a lot of money for him. They're betting on him, but he has the ability now to unite, to come into that roster, to come into that 11, and you build around him. But I think no matter what you do with your future acquisitions, you've created somebody who's going to connect the pieces that you already have. That is someone you can absolutely is going to be, I think, foundational to the way that you want to play and will be heavily involved in goal contributions, set piece service, the quality on the ball, the way that you're progressing your attack. Like he is a really exciting player. And he's only, like I mentioned, the 2 seasons that I got to cover him and watch him closely, like working in that left half space or working just underneath the attacking line. He's a really tremendous player. And as Tom said, he not only used the word salient properly, but he mentioned his floor is high. And that's the thing I think that you have to do. And that's what TFC has in common with CF Montreal. In the past, that floor in terms of their roster construction has been low. Mm-hmm. CFC has always had that top end talent that was just astronomically high. CF Montreal couldn't compete with that. But the floor after your initial top talent, CF Montreal could be argued never had that top end talent. But like after that drop off with your top 11, is the next players up, it was really like a huge drop off. But now you get a player like him you're building around, that's up high, and then hopefully with your roster construction and what's coming, that everything else is elevated.
That's right, you can build around this player, and again it's more evidence for me that no one really gives a shit about the MLS draft anymore. We saw Torrey Spicer, who was their top pick just 2 years ago, get shipped out earlier this week. You bring in a player like Mahalovich mid-season, which is going to improve the team. And I know Tom made a very salient point that rather than getting into a bidding war, let's get this done now, which makes sense. But it's also going to probably improve your team, right? And maybe lift you. You're probably not making the playoffs, but it's going to lift you off, that wooden spoon race potentially. And they're not done yet. No. It just shows that the draft, nice idea, but more and more, Craig, MLS is moving away from that typical North American style, isn't it? And in fact, that we've got a cash deal with the terms add-ons and a sell-on fee. It's like, whoa, that's football terminology.
It sounds a little more authentic to what we're used to.
No tam or gam involved, as far as we know.
Maybe he'll sit in the stand and observe for the rest of the season.
Oh boy!
No, but the one thing that I do like is that you've got him in now, and you'll be able to start to see what he's really like live, week in and week out, during training. You start to see his characteristic, and then you can start to look at which individuals are targets that we're looking at that we're going to surround. Because remember, they got a lot of players that are going to be out of contract coming the end of the season,
right?
So there's going to be a lot of fresh faces going to be coming in. And it's going to be interesting now just to see how they put everything in place. Because if I'm watching him and I'm seeing the way that he plays, now my targets that I want to bring in to play with him, they've got to be bang on now. It can't be a guess because you're going to build everything around this guy. So it's the right time to bring him in rather at the end of the season and then trying to figure everything out. I think now it's a good time. And then you'll start to see the players that are already here. Can they play with this guy? And if they can't play with him, it's time to move.
Jimmy, Sharms was talking about a miserable season for TFC, which we can all agree it's a miserable season on the pitch. But is there that getting rid of Insigne and Bernardeschi and the top heaviness of their salaries, there must be hope in Redsville, right? Like all of a sudden with this move, what are you feeling? I know you're a TFC guy. How is it feeling as a fan? I'm not going to put you in any other place than just as a fan.
Yeah, I think it's good. Look, Wonger, I don't think you're going to expect an awful lot just yet. Right now, we know it's going to be a building process. It's going to take time. I think next season you're going to start to see everything unfold, and you're going to start to see the true identity of what this club's going to be. But now I think it's going to be nice that the fans will get a taste of what's to come. You'll get right. You're spending a lot of money on one individual who's a bit of a game changer, and I think the fans realize that. I think they know they've got to get through this season. It's going to be a grind, but at least there's something kind of to celebrate with a very good player coming in. And if he comes in with the right attitude, that work ethic, that Toronto kind of attitude where, you know, it's exciting, it's fast, it's hardworking, I think the fans will buy into it right away. The one thing the fans won't accept is if you cruise. You cannot cruise in Toronto. You have to work. And if he comes in with that attitude, I think he'll be fine. And I think the fans will gravitate towards him.
I think as a fan as well that you're wondering where the club is sitting at the moment. There's been some changes at the top of the ownership with MLSE and Keith Pelly, and what does Rogers want to do with TFC? All these different things. Are they ambitious? Well, I think that proves that they are ambitious, and they want to get this right. And this is hopefully for them a turning point. So I think for the fans, I think it would be an exciting move for them for sure.
Dubs, as a footballer, what is his mindset? He's leaving a team that was fighting for the playoffs. He's going to TFC, obviously, as discussed, a terrible season so far, probably not making the playoffs. I mean, he's a winner, right? He's a star player. He's going to be dropped into a team with a lot of question marks, a lot of holes. How does he keep his head up? Does he just look at the next few weeks, months as a getting to know you kind of thing?
Yes, but I think it's also the feeling as a player. I mentioned the years in Montreal, homegrown player for Chicago, then goes to the Eredivisie, disappointing kind of campaign with AZ Alkmaar, gets bought for the Rapids and is fit in there, obviously, with the goal contributions and expected assists, as Tom was talking about. But now a team like TFC, eager to get back into kind of MLS relevancy, goes out and grabs him and wants him to be their marquee player, wants him to be their star. So as a young player looking to cement yourself further, I think, in the lore of MLS, where you've done the Europe thing, you've dipped your toe in it, and now you're thinking, okay, this is probably where I'm going to play the rest of my career. Or maybe I want a chance to really be put on a platform where I can showcase my abilities and maybe get poached and maybe go and try again. Who knows what his mindset is there? But you have a team of TFC's standing, of their pedigree, where they've won the cup, they won the treble, and they want me. I'm being Georgie now. Like, they want to come and get me, and they want to build around me. Like, I mean, that's fucking great, isn't it? If you're a player, like, I mean, talk about stroking your ego. So it's not only about the ego, but it's about what it means for you that a club is backing you like that. And then you have a chance to be central to any future success, because everything at that point will be attributed to this move. And you have a chance to be that guy. So I think that's what the appeal is.
You agree? As a former footballer, that being wanted, being desired.
Yeah, of course it's important. What do you think?
Everybody wants to be wanted.
Everybody wants to be wanted.
But I mean, to be desired at a really bad team.
For Major League Soccer, look, Toronto's not a hard sell, is it? It's a great city.
Yeah.
It's vibrant, diversity. It's got absolutely everything that you want. And the club, you get treated, you know, ridiculously well, you know, through the organization. So for them to go get players and bring people in, and people that are coming through playing away games here in Toronto, they love the city. They know what it's all about. So when Toronto comes and wants you, and they're going to spend an awful lot of money for you, it's a no-brainer for him to get out of Colorado and come to Toronto.
There's only one way up here for TFC, right?
The point, actually.
Yeah.
You can
Anything that he can do in a positive manner, if they can make the playoffs next year, that's going to be a win for him and the team.
Remember when Yaya Toure didn't get a birthday cake and it ruined his life at Man City? I guess it does show how players need to feel wanted. All it takes is a birthday cake with a strawberry on top.
I forgot about that.
That's it. The strawberry on top of the cake. God damn it. That's all I wanted.
I want to sign for 5 more years, you assholes.
Well, Dubs, you had a fun little hit at CF Montrealers. You were acting as their therapist. You're like, hey, CF Montreal fans, another one to swallow. Yeah. Like, how's that look over there with another strong player kind of having that, hey, I dipped my toe in CF Montreal, but they didn't see enough in me.
Well, TFC's used to that as well, by the way.
Yeah, I know. But CF Montreal seems to be doing it a little more right now.
Of late, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's been a rough go, I think, for these fans.
That's a nice way to put it.
So yeah, I was commiserating a little bit less than I was being critical of the club. But I mean, it was Luca Saputo, he and his brother, and then Hassoun Kamara, who's an ex-player, has come over to be head of comms there. So I think they're doing things, they're moving in the right direction, I will say. I'll give the club credit that way. But since the letter was published, it's almost 2 weeks ago now that they're going to rebuild, and they apologized to the fans. The season's not gone according to plan. We're still waiting for the big splashes in terms of the signings and to see them make good on these promises. Nothing's happened. And then in the meantime, hey, remember this kid who was emblematic of the badge that you didn't want to give that like $275,000 raise to? Well, he went over to Europe and now he's back and he's playing for LAFC and he's going to get to play with Sonny. Right? And then we've got Georgi Mihailovic, who was, part of that crew that left, and Kone and Alistair Johnston and Georgie, like they all left for Europe, right? And so that was that same year where they had 6 players who had featured as part of that 2022 record campaign, who not only played in Qatar, but then like you also had like, okay, this is what our club is. It's this season, it's this success, it's this standard, but it's also we're selling them on to Europe. And then it all came crashing down to earth.
But it's interesting to me too. Sorry, Sharms, just that Jimmy, I love Montreal. And I know you love Montreal, you're from there. Everyone I talk to always loves Montreal. But it's interesting for me when Jimmy's talking about a place to be in Toronto, that Montreal, as much as we love it, because of the legacy of the Saputos right now, it doesn't get the same, oh, what a great place to land. What a, and it doesn't feel, at least it gets that. And I'm wondering if they're missing out on not just the club's kind of, hey, this is what they stand for, but they're missing out on the city too, because the city's a vibrant, amazing place. Mm-hmm. And I would rank it as good as Toronto, right? Like those were my 2 choices. Yeah, I know. I'm going to make some arguments. Yeah.
Hey, you're laughing and I'm also laughing.
I was with you until you said that.
But it's interesting because I'm also laughing because Montreal is clearly better than Toronto. So that's why I'm laughing. I'm like, on par? You're mad.
Okay, I'm going to say it's on par. But my point is, it seems like they're missing that cultural part of a club, that they can't marry the two. To your point, have that amazing kind of on-pitch feel, and this is who we are, and marry that with the club, which TFC has. TFC has married that to the culture of Toronto. And to Jimmy's point, it makes it a very attractive city to come to.
Yeah, I think with Montreal is I think TFC, the criticism that you can't levy at them is the lack of ambition. Whereas Montreal, especially with the distraction and the lack of focus, especially with the success of Bologna, Saputo's other club, and then making Champions League and the focus on that, is that CF Montreal has been kind of cast to the side. And so then the focus there is you always have the vibrant city, you have the appeal of the language, whether it's, coming over from Bologna or European players who are French speaking. And you want to, it's just, it's the way that what was rumored to be when Messi came to in his first year with Inter Miami, he was always going to come to Montreal because of his agent and because of his handlers. Or like, you need to go to Montreal. Like Montreal has that buzz, it has the appeal. But in terms of the establishment, the Saputos, kind of everything that's associated with them and the missteps in the past, that you maybe have that lack of coherence and is not maybe underpinned by, a philosophy that is consistent and will uphold kind of what's on the pitch. And I think that is something that can be used against them. And then if you're going to compare TFC or Vancouver to Montreal, that is where they're potentially losing out, because like that, you don't have that same coherence on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, Montreal wouldn't have seen Thierry Henry on the sidelines or Didier Drogba playing for them if not for the French connection there, right?
Mm-hmm.
French language connection, at least with Drogba. So there's something there, but yeah, they got to find the ambition. There's so much potential for that city. I agree. I mean, it's not Toronto, but it's a pretty great city. But it is. I love Montreal too, and it's very different to any other city in Canada, obviously, right? And I think it should be a real lure for some top players, but they haven't figured that out. I mean, Christ, the World Cup should be there, right? They should be World Cup games in Montreal. Come on,
yeah.
You're right.
What a missed opportunity that is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the financials and economics as to why it hasn't happened, but just from a football standpoint and the growth of the game in Quebec,